Hi everybody, it's Wendy and it's Thursday, February 2nd. Is that right? Yep, already the 2nd. And we're here again for another nightly discussion about herbs, my favorite subject. Before we get started, I want to cover a couple of things in case I forget. One is I am going to start some online classes that will begin in April, and I'm sort of feeling it out to see if there's any new interest, if there's something particular that you'd like to know about more than other things. Otherwise, I might just do a general class to begin with, or I can specialize and do something more specific for those of you that have already taken a lot of my classes. I will be doing my text, thanks to my lovely daughter-in-law, who is a digital artist wizard, and I'm going to go ahead and put my my textbooks, create them digitally and put them on Amazon. So you will be able to just go ahead and order your book and get it to you that way, and you don't have to worry about me getting them shipped or whatever. And I will, we'll do things we'll streamline things a little more, so it's going to be relatively easy to take the online classes. But like I said, I can just go with a regimen, go with a series of things that I think would be helpful. Or if you have some specific things that you want to know about, then that's what I want to hear. So if you will either email me at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com or send me a Facebook message, however you want to get the word to me. I am starting to put together those materials and get ready to launch that in April. Also, April's going to be a busy month for me. I'm also going to launch a series of homeschooling workshops, and I'm going to be doing them on site here at my property. But I have already had some requests for homeschoolers in different parts of the country that would like to take an online version of that. So again, if you are up here in the Harrison area and you are wanting to attend a homeschooling workshop, I'm going to do one a month. It'll probably be about a 4-hour session, and we'll do it here on site. I've got lots of really fun things planned. And of course, I have all the animals and all the other things that the kids can get involved in, but we're going to cover everything from herb identification to what you can do and make and create with herbs. They'll learn a lot about first aid and the things that they can do to help themselves. And it's a good time to provide that information and that knowledge to your children. Homeschoolers have a little bit more time on their hands during the day so that they can be involved in stuff like this. But I am going to try to get a hold of some of the local agencies that operate with the public school kids in the summer, and possibly see if I can have some summer workshops for them. That's why I'm going to do April, May, and June with homeschoolers, and then see what I can do with the public school kids during their summer months when they're off of school. So those are the things that if you have some feedback for me, if you would like to be a part of any of those things that I'm starting, then please go ahead and get a hold of me, give me your info. And if you know of anybody that would benefit from any of these offerings, please spread the word and let them know about it and have them contact me. Also, the other thing that I wanted to tell you about was that our weekly sessions are uploaded to the Crooked House Herbals YouTube channel. So if you miss a week or whatever, or if you have someone that you'd like to share these sessions with, you can share those YouTube links to them, and they can get this information that way. So I'm not charging for anything, so it's free for everybody to benefit from, that we can actually we can get the word out. So on that note, let's talk about herbs. I don't know about you guys, but I still have snow. It's beginning to melt, but boy, I'm ready for it to be gone. I'm ready to dig in the dirt. So I'll be happy when this little bout of snow slash ice slash yuck is over. It's been pretty. It's been nice, but it's time for it to go. All right, I do have some questions that have been sent to me earlier, and I've typed them up. I've got a stack. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because I don't want to run over. I'm trying to keep this right at an hour, and that way we're, people go, yeah, I wouldn't mind watching it, but she always goes late, or whatever. I know how it is. Trust me, I know. So there's people I follow online and different things, and if it just gets to be too much, 2 hours into it and we're still going, I'm thinking, I can't do this. So I turn it off, and I don't want to do that. I'll just leave you wanting more. All right, the first question is kind of a lengthy answer, but a really good question because I know that there are a lot of people that suffer with this. And the question is, are there any ways to treat neuropathy naturally? This person has a lot of pain in her feet and legs, especially at night, and it just really struggles with it. But the scientists and the doctors will even tell you there are some drugs out there, there's some other medications that you can take, but really they're not really very effective. They don't really do much. So why put that junk in your body? There are natural things that you can use, and there's some really good herbs. It helps though if you kind of understand what neuropathy is, so you understand which herbs. Those of you that have taken my classes, you would know which types of herbs you would need to address. You would need to go for it, because you can't just necessarily choose the feel-good ones or the ones that kill pain. If you're trying to actually treat something, you don't want to necessarily cover up the pain. You want to go to the source of the pain, right? Covering it up doesn't do you any good. Actually, it could cause you more injury. That's why pain relievers are dangerous in that sense, because you don't want to numb yourself up so much that you just keep doing all the wrong things, and you could end up seriously injured. So we don't want that. So let's talk a little bit, first of all, about neuropathy, because there's actually different types. And usually, what we're finding more and more is that most people that struggle with that have some kind of diabetic issue, or they've had some kind of traumatic injury, or a real serious infection. Those are usually the three things that will create this syndrome, this neuropathy syndrome. And it's nerve related. Okay, so it's central nervous system, your brain, different things, those types of things are involved with neuropathy. So when you think about it and you think, well, why do I have neuropathy if I don't have diabetes? Well, have you had a series of surgeries, or have you had a traumatic injury, or have you had a serious infection? Any or all of those things can have the same kind of damaging effect on your nervous system. So peripheral neuropathy is a condition that causes weakness and pain and numbness in your extremities, typically your hands and feet. And your peripheral nerves, they get messages from your brain and your spinal cord, or they send the messages to your brain and your spinal cord. Those nerves do. When those nerves are damaged, these messages are interrupted and affect how your body responds to pain, to temperature, and even other reflexes. So it's often a result of, like I said before, diabetes, or a traumatic injury, or alcoholism. and infection. Those are the four main problems. Symptoms from peripheral neuropathy depend on the type of nerves that are damaged. So, again, it's not a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter situation, and that's why so many people have it. There's so many people that have neuropathy, one flavor or another, maybe just, some of it to a large degree and some of it just a little bit, or on and off. It's going to depend on which nerves were damaged. And you've got motor nerves, you've got sensory nerves, and you've got autonomic nerves. So depending on which ones of those nerves have been damaged, you're going to have different types of symptoms. If you've got motor nerve problems, you've got muscle weakness, you've got atrophy, you've got difficulty moving your arms and your legs, you've got muscle spasms, uncontrolled twitching, decreased reflexes, you get tingling, numbness, sensitivity to touch, decreased sensations, inability to feel temperature change or pain, just numb. Autonomic nerves are going to be, they're going to affect more things like you'll be nauseous, or you'll vomit, do a lot of vomiting. You'll be dizzy while you're standing or changing position. And a lot of people think oh, I've got vertigo. Well, maybe it's connected to your autonomic nerves, which could be connected to what we're talking about right now, this neuropathy. It might not be textbook vertigo. It could just be your autonomic nerves have damage. Excessive sweating, inability to control your bowel and your bladder functions, irregular heart rate, and difficulty swallowing. Those are all symptoms of autonomic nerve damage. So, keeping that in mind, let's talk about some things that can actually address this kind of neuropathy. There's a series of vitamins that really help. They help to treat neuropathy, various aspects of it, and most of them are B vitamins, B1, B12, B2. These all have different points that they address, but it all comes back around to really helping with neuropathy, all overall pain, the numbness, all of it. B6. And if you want to know specifics about that, I can give you more information on that, which one addresses which thing, if you're wanting to know that. But more than likely, if you have central nervous system issues, your B12 is probably going to be one of your key players, because our body doesn't produce that one. And, depending on your diet, and depending on how you're obtaining it from outside sources, that one could be lacking seriously, especially if you're older. B6 is known as pyridoxine, and it helps to keep your central nervous system and your brain and your immune system healthy. So that's another one that, would be one that you would want to. I might even recommend that you just go get some blood work, and just don't let them stick anything else in your body, but have them do a blood panel on you, checking for your B vitamin levels, and see if you're low and on 6 and 12 and some of these others. Another thing that I found was interesting when I was looking through this stuff was copper. And copper is believed to work due to the theory of trapped electricity. Now, remember last week when I talked to you about sleeping, and I told you that something that really helps with sleeping is grounding, which is going outside, not today, but going outside and taking your shoes off and walking in the grass for 10 minutes, pretty close to the time you go to bed. And then, and just discharging all of the electricity, the static electricity in your body back into the ground. It sounds funny, but it makes sense when you think about it. Well, copper kind of works on that same theory. It's been suggested, and I tend to agree with this because when I went to Nepal a while back, I wore a copper necklace that my friend Crystal had hammered out for me, and I took it because it's a good it's antiviral. Copper is, and so I knew I was going to be on a plane for 35 bazillion hours, and I kept this thing around me so I could literally, it was big enough, it was almost the size of my hand, to rub my hands on it, and then I could just wipe off the copper. But I used it kind of as my little hand sanitizer, kept it around my neck. But it says that inflammation is caused by damaged nerves trapping electricity, which copper will attract and pull away from the body. It's been used as such in traditional medicine for thousands of years. Often it is worn as a bracelet or something that people claim to have benefited from. Others rub copper on the area where they experience the pain. So, it could be that if you don't have a serious, horrible neuropathy situation, maybe just having a little contact with copper throughout the day may help. Our bodies are very interesting, and they're so complex and so amazing, but we're designed to respond to natural remedies and to natural things. So the more you can seek out those types of healing modalities and methods, the happier your body's going to be. And because that's its design. It's not designed to be tanked full of toxic stuff. And it's funny because doctors will poo-poo the word detox. Just test it sometime if you ever go to the doctor and just somehow incorporate detox into a sentence and watch their reaction. A lot of doctors don't even believe that's a thing. They don't even believe that you can become toxic. So when you're dealing with that kind of mentality, it's really hard. You're beating your head against the wall. So you're going to have to do your own homework and your own research. I'm not saying that there's not a place for doctors. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but there are some that will just go right by the idea that your body is toxic and you need to get the toxins out. It's the exact opposite. Here's this pill. Take this one. If you have any side effects, here's the list. Let me know. I'll give you something else for the side effects. There's no talk about cleansing your body, getting the toxins out of your body, making your organs like your liver and your kidneys and your heart healthy. So you're kind of on your own, and you're going to have to use your own, just trust your gut and seek out people like me and, nutritionists and people that have done their work in other areas and can, I've taken several anatomy and physiology classes. I've taken lots of nutrition classes. I've taken lots of things that doctors they're not even required to. So, round yourself out. Manganese occurs in trace amounts in our body. It's a strong antioxidant that helps protect our body from free radical damage. So you've heard free radicals. We've heard about them all our life. And nobody really knew what to do with that phrase, and nobody really realized that it was that big of a deal. Until now. Until you get to be older. As soon as you hit 50, somewhere in there, you're going to start realizing that all that talk about free radicals and oxidation in your body and, storing up things, you start getting weird nodes on your hands and your elbows and stuff, and you think, what is all this about? And then the doctor says, oh, you have arthritis. And they talk like that's something you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to have arthritis when you turn 50. That's baloney. You're supposed to be healthy. So don't believe that. Vitamin D is also, of course, we know the importance of vitamin D. And I think we had a really good lesson with that, with this whole COVID thing. And the fact that they wanted to keep everybody inside and don't go outside and, stay away from the supplements and do the, they wanted you to have other things instead. And vitamin D is probably one of the most important things our bodies can have. And, it's funny because most diabetics are usually deficient in vitamin D, which kind of makes me wonder, if you just kind of balanced out some of these deficiencies, if some of these other issues would go away. Don't know. But there are studies out there that do show that vitamin D, and, again, the best form of vitamin D is from the sun. This is get out there and get in your sunshine. But if you have to take it, make sure you have a good balanced supplement, that it's not one of those hard capsules that you don't know what else is in there. Okay. You're going to need to pay for it. You're going to need to make sure you have something that's the real deal, or just get out in the sun, because it also is something that will protect your myelin sheath that surrounds your spinal cord. And again, it's all connected to neuropathy, all of these things. Vitamin K is another one that you need to make sure you have the right levels. A lot of these things you could easily check the boxes just by having a good blood panel drawn and have them check it. Selenium is an essential nutrient. You don't need a ton of it. You only need like 55 micrograms, not a lot. It's like zinc. You don't need a ton of zinc either. It makes me throw up if I get too much zinc. But that little tiny bit of that mineral goes a long way to balancing out your chemical stability and your nervous system. Okay. And when we're talking about neuropathy, we're talking about your nervous system. So, just let me say, if you are trying to send messages or questions to me, you need to please use the messenger that is connected with the Crooked House Herbal's Facebook page. You need to get on Facebook, and then you need to go to the messenger and send me your messages that way. I can't get them by text or any other way right now. You need to use the computer. Okay. Magnesium, of course, goes along to help you assimilate calcium. Zinc is another one that if you're deficient in zinc, you're going to have. Zinc really helps with inflammatory conditions, and inflammation basically kills nerve cells. So you need to, I did a whole class on this, inflammatory diseases. So it's something that you really need to get real with, because every American deals with this right now. And it's the nature of the beast. It has to do with diet. It has to do with every aspect of our living right now. And it's not an elephant you can eat in one bite. But if you are struggling with something like neuropathy and you really want to get a handle on it, you're going to have to do some hard things. You're going to have to make some changes, because inflammation is the trigger, a lot of it. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to tell you that also affects neuropathy, that is actually really good. It's an antioxidant. They're covering the bases with these amino acids. So you've got R-alpha lipoic acid. You've got carotene. Those are the two main ones that would be in the amino acid department that you want to make sure that you have good levels of in your blood. Acetylcarotene has been used for the treatment of neuropathic pain. There's studies. So it's something that you want to make sure you're getting plenty of. Amino acids. They build proteins. They are proteins. They help make your body work right. Okay, some of the herbs that you can use for nerve pain, which is no surprise to me. The first one that I thought about was berberine. Berberine is in many herbs, actually. It's in golden seal, it's in Oregon grape, it's in turmeric, it's in bayberry. So this is it's a bitter tasting herb. It helps to strengthen your heartbeat. It also kills bacteria. It also helps regulate how your body uses the sugar in the blood, and it reduces swelling. I use berberine in one form or another in several of these different herbs in many of my products. I think that's one reason my products work so well, because they really go for the inflammatory conditions. You know, they might be made for different things, but I always try to include two things in almost all my products. One of them is cayenne pepper, and the other one is some kind of anti-inflammatory, because I know that that's the root of 90% of everybody's problems is circulation and inflammation. So it will help lower your cholesterol. It helps to get the fats out of your blood that don't need to be there. It'll help lower your blood pressure. It's also used for burns. It's used for canker sores. It's used for liver disease. Berberine is awesome. And it really, and it's an alkaloid. So there are many studies, and I've got links if you want them, to the use of berberine for nerve pain and neuropathy specifically. Okay, so that's one that I would say definitely seek out. Another one you're probably really familiar with is turmeric. It's ancient, and it's been used for nerve pain and inflammatory conditions for thousands of years. So many good things about turmeric, and it's pretty readily available. There's no reason that people shouldn't have turmeric in their house. You use the root, or it's actually a rhizome. Let me see if I can just... The main thing with turmeric, again, is inflammation, which is going to lessen the pain in general. But there's also people that have had like spinal surgeries, and they've had a lot of problems with sciatica and those specific things. And turmeric is a big heavy hitter with those particular. It enhances your blood supply. It makes your nerve cells more sensitive, so that they, you don't get the numbness and you don't get the dulling out like you would with some of these conditions. It breaks down lipoproteins in a much quicker way, so that you're assimilating things more quickly and you're getting more benefit out of the other things that you're doing. A lot of studies that show that curcumin or turmeric is... But here's the thing. When you take turmeric, you need to make sure that you take it with fat. So even if you've got fresh turmeric and you've ground it up and you're going to put it in a dish, or you're going to put it in a salad dressing, or you're just going to put it in capsules, you need to make sure that when you ingest that, you include a fat at the very least. If you can add some black pepper to the mix, it will even help assimilate even more and activate it even more. But it will just literally go right through you if you don't have the fat accompanying it. So remember that. Don't just down the turmeric pills, okay? Because you're wasting your money. Feverfew extract, which I thought was interesting, but not really, because I have talked about feverfew in some of my classes in conjunction with migraine headaches. So why would that be? Why would it work for this condition? Because they both have to do with blood flow. They both have to do with nerves. And they need things that will pass the blood-brain barrier. They're anti-inflammatory. The only thing that I will say about feverfew is if you are allergic to ragweed or some, that family, you're not going to want to take feverfew. It's a beautiful little plant. It's got the prettiest flowers, and it's so pretty, and you could grow it in your yard. But if you've got bad allergies with those other items, feverfew is not the one for you. Okay? So be careful with that. Okay, another one that jumped into my mind almost immediately was skullcap. And I think I talked about skullcap briefly last week in conjunction with like alcoholism and, addictive problems, the addictive part of your brain. Skullcap really helps with that. It fights nervousness and anxiety though too. It's a nervine, and it's also a painkiller. So you could cover a lot of, you could double dip with skullcap. And another one that's very similar to this is passion flower, which I also talked about. Passion flower though can make you kind of sleepy. So you have to be careful what time of day you use passion flower. It's good for nighttime. But if you've got a really demanding job and you got to be awake, I wouldn't recommend it in the mornings. Okay. Skullcap has a real positive effect overall on your central nervous system. It's very good. And it's long standing, it's been around a long time. And like I said, agencies like Alcoholics Anonymous and those groups have actually even used skullcap to help some of their clients with their addictive, situations, at least initially. I would say that would be one that I would put at the top of my list. You don't really have a lot of side effects or anything with skullcap, and it's not one that most people are sensitive to or allergic to for, in most cases. It's a good nervine. Passion flower, same thing. It's been around for, Native Americans have been using it for a bazillion years. It's usually associated, like I said, with treating like insomnia and that kind of thing. It also can be a very good painkiller. Why? Because it's a nervine, and it talks to those parts of your brain. Okay, it's a natural analgesic. So it's, if you have a sensitivity to analgesics, then you might not be able to use as much of it at one time. You'd probably have to use a little bit more often instead of taking a big dose or whatever. But it does work. And another herb that is also really good for neuropathy is oat straw. So, this has been used way back since Middle Ages or beyond. And it is scientifically proven, which is one of, you don't normally put those two words together, herbs and science, but they have proven the benefit of oat straw. Cardiovascular health, brain, and nerves. All three of those. And it's derived from the green oats. It lowers levels of your blood sugar and your cholesterol. It has a really positive impact on high blood pressure. I use oat straw in my children's tea and my children's tea tincture, and I use it in a couple other of my formulas. My kidney kindness, I think I put oat straw in there. But it is one that if you've got heart issues, or if you've got cardiovascular issues at all, it would be one that you would probably want to include in your regimen, along with some of the others. Kava root, I talked about kava last week a little bit as well. It's also a long-standing painkiller, and it's a mild sedative. You kind of don't want to go too far from home when you're taking kava until you know how you're going to react to it. Another one that's real good is evening primrose oil. Sorry, my dog is whining, but she's just going to have to whine. And, of course, one of my personal favorites, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, in my opinion, is one of the most miraculous things I mean, it's just a really great thing. Everybody needs to have apple cider vinegar in your house. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. Because if you're suffering with any pain in your joints and your feet, it breaks down the acid crystals that accumulate at the joints and cause pain. So that's why I tell people to take apple cider vinegar with honey in the mornings and use distilled water. Why? Because we talked about distilled water last week and how it's hungry water, and it grabs a hold of anything that's loose or even the crystalline things that are lodged, and will remove them from your body. So over a period of time, if you've struggled with arthritis and you've had stiff joints or pain, eventually I'm going to say as early as a week, you're going to notice a big difference drinking distilled water and taking apple cider vinegar with some honey in the morning. So apple cider vinegar in this case is also very helpful for your neuropathy. 2 spoons of vinegar every day increase the potassium content in your bloodstream, which helps reduce inflammation. And that's our problem here. It's also a fat burner, and will help with, weight loss if that's something you're doing. So 2 spoons of vinegar today. I usually just help people take a tablespoon of vinegar with honey in about, 4 ounces of water, warm water in the morning, and drink that before you drink anything else or do anything else, and put that in your body first to break your fast, and then go from there. So that leads me to the next thing, which is my soapbox on distilled water. If you are drinking anything but distilled water right now, you are probably putting things into your body in excess, especially if you're a good water drinker, that your body doesn't need. People used to say, "Oh, I drink the water from the hot springs downtown." Well, do you ever read those placards by the water? I mean, I used to go down and get it all the time. I had well water, so I would go get fill up my bottles, and then I'd immediately come home and run it all through my distiller. And you should have seen my distiller. Andy, no. But there's an excessive amount of minerals and things in spring water. There is more than we need, because we're putting so much stuff into our bodies in other ways. If we were eating really clean and we were only eating the food we were growing, and we didn't have all this other excess stuff going in, that would be one thing. We'd probably benefit. But we don't need that stuff now. And if you're drinking bottled water, you're getting too much salt. You're getting way too many things in that water. Just have it tested sometime, and you'll see what I mean. Dasani has a lot of salt in it. So drink distilled water. One other thing that I saw was white willow tea. Not a lot of people know about white willow tea, but it is a really good one for oxidative stress. Like if you've got a lot of oxidation in your body, which translates to inflammation. Athletes use a lot of white willow tea because, they've got the feet and, all that stuff. So that's something, if you know, if you can get your hands on it. I don't see it a lot of times. You'd almost have to, well, you can get it. You just have to look for it, but it's white willow tea. So we are going to talk a little bit now about, okay, a couple other things addressing neuropathy. And I really can't let this go without talking about these. One of them is cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper, capsaicin, is used in, you know, most of my products, even my eye drops and my nose spray. But it decreases the intensity of pain signals sent through your body. I know you probably think, how does that work? Because when I use cayenne pepper, you know, I just want to scream or whatever. But it actually decreases the pain and the amount of pain signal that's sent through your body. It reduces neuropathy and neuropathic pain greatly. Some of the other things, though, I mean, that's why they have that capsaicin cream that you rub on. Well, they're just having you do it topically. You absorb 80% more through your skin. So products like my Deep Treat, those of you that use my Deep Treat, that's a really good one to use topically for neuropathy, because I have a lot of cayenne pepper in that cream, along with some other really good herbs. I have calendula, I have chamomile, I have lots of good herbs in Deep Treat that will really help with, I've got arnica and different ones. So it dissipates blood pooling and it brings circulation to the area, and it's a good one for neuropathy. Some essential oils that might be beneficial for that would be Roman chamomile oil and eucalyptus oil, because it's very anti-inflammatory. Lavender and clove. Clove oil is amazing for pain. I use it in my mouthwash because it immediately numbs whatever's hurting in your mouth. But you can use clove essential oil. Now, with those things, you're going to want to put a few drops into like some coconut oil or whatever, and then rub it onto your skin. Coconut oil actually is a good one for leg pain. And it'll be your carrier oil as well. It's it works really well with essential oils. Coconut oil does. Rosemary oil is another one that you can use for anti-inflammatory. Something else that's really, really good is yarrow and yarrow oil. It relieves pain and inflammation, and it's really good for nerve disorders. So, you know, and it's actually a really nice tea. So if you just can even get yarrow herb, and you could make your own oil with it. You could infuse some olive oil with yarrow, or you could make tea with it and drink it, or both. Those are some things that I would definitely recommend doing for neuropathy. I know I took a long time with that, but I wanted to give you lots of options, okay? Another question that I had was, what can I do to help me if I get kidney stones? I get a lot of kidney stones and I have problems with my kidneys. Well, kidney stones are a buildup, calcium and other minerals in your kidneys, which means, I'll give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, you're not eliminating the things out of your body that you need to eliminate. Now, if your kidneys are healthy, get this, they're filtering a half a cup of blood every minute. Every minute. So that's 150 quarts a day. That's how that organ is cranking. Well, if you have two, then it's shared. But I know people that only have one. And so they work really, really hard. Your kidneys remove your waste products and your extra fluid. All of that filtering happens through your kidneys. So if you start to have kidney problems, you're not giving your kidney what it needs. And the main thing that you have to go back and you have to look at your intake of things like salts and minerals, specifically calcium, phosphorus, potassium. If you've got excess, a lot of that in your blood, then your kidneys, they're ODing on it. So you need to be careful. And also the other organ that works hand in hand with that are your adrenal glands. So if your adrenal glands are tired, then they're going to absorb the stress of your kidneys not working right, and you got a big problem. So you need to really nourish and spend some time bringing your kidneys and your adrenals back up to speed. I could spend 2 hours talking about this, so I'm just going to go quickly. But some of the herbs, actually, I have some really good formulas. I've created a whole line of, I've got my kidney kindness tincture. I have a pancreas tincture. I have a liver detox tincture, and I have and for adrenal glands. Oh, and I also have a tincture called Get a Grip, which is a bladder assist, which works in conjunction with that, all with stabilizing and nourishing your urinary tract. So if you have a lot of UTIs and stuff, or if you're having bladder issues, if you're having bladder control problems or whatever, those are all things. I have herbs in all of those that address those things. And some of the herbs, there's juniper berries and there's red cedar berries. Red cedar is really, really good for your kidneys. Juniper is real good for your urinary tract. Adrenal glands thrive on my Energize Me formula works well for your thyroid and for your adrenals, but kelp or spirulina, those phytochemicals, those greens that make your shake taste yucky, those are good for your adrenal glands, and that's the food you need to give your adrenal glands. Uva ursi is a key player for kidneys, and that needs to be in whatever you're taking or using. Usnea is the same thing. It's actually a lichen, it's formed by fungus or algae, and it's real popular. It's kind of like Spanish moss. It's real popular in the Pacific Northwest, in the forests and the cooler areas. Cranberry, long-standing fixer-upper for stabilizing all of those things that are going on, getting your kidneys working again like they need to. Adrenal support, ashwagandha and shishandra, rhodiola, holy basil, and there's a couple others. Ginseng are all adaptogenics. And adaptogenic herbs, those of you that have taken my classes know, help you helps your body deal with stress. It doesn't have to be your boss harping on you stress. It can be just being alive stress. It could be fighting an illness. It could be, too much weight, and you're trying to, whatever kind of stress your body is going through, your adrenal glands are taking the hit. So these herbs are all adaptogenic herbs, and they help you to right that ship so that your adrenals are working full bore again, which is really important. You'll notice a complete difference if your adrenal glands are on point. Horsetail, I love horsetail, and green tea are also really good for kidneys. But I'm going to tell you one that if you've got stones, or if you have a propensity for developing stones, hydrangea root needs to be something you take every day. Hydrangea root is good both for your bladder and your kidney, but it's a dissolvent, along with gravel root. Gravel root is also a dissolvent. And these will, if you are, if your body is constantly trying to make stones, then you need to take these herbs and you need to keep them in your body so that they can keep breaking down and dissolving the stones. Couch grass is also another good one. It helps like increase urine production and keeps your urinary tract clean so you don't get those infections. Those of you that suffer with that stuff, especially women, we know that's all connected. If you get a UTI, or if I did when I was younger, especially if I got a UTI, I could almost bank on getting a kidney infection. So that was before I knew what I know now. Goldenrod. And if you live down in the Hot Springs area in Royal and down in there, you got tons of goldenrod. And goldenrod has been used by the Native Americans for so many years. It is a cleanser. It is a kidney detoxifier. So goldenrod tea is great. You should use a lot of it. Dandelion, same thing. The dandelion root is going to detoxify. Celery root is another good one too. It's a natural diuretic. It's got natural... I tell people that struggle with gout, celery needs to be, juice it, do whatever you have to do, but the celery root is real good for the kidney health. It has a good level of potassium and sodium in it. I told you about gravel root already. Golden seal. Again, and golden seal is, more bang for your buck because it's got berberine in it. So if you've got any of those other issues we talked about earlier, you can do it all with one herb. Saw palmetto berries, usually associate with saw palmetto with male issues like prostate and stuff, but it's also very good for your bladder and your kidneys and your urinary tract. It's also good for your sinuses. Let's see. I am gonna go past that. Again, yarrow. Yarrow is another one that is real good for your kidneys. Use the entire plant, the flowers and all of it. It's very good for kidney disease and kidney problems. Yarrow, and it's pleasant. It's a nice herb. It's not bad. If you're having trouble urinating and that kind of stuff, have some yarrow tea 2 or 3 times a day. Let's see. Peach. Okay, so the parts used: the bark, the leaves, the twigs, and the kernels of peaches. Who knew, right? But it is, I've seen that a lot. I've seen peach included in a lot of different things. But for kidney problems, specifically the leaf, the blossom, and the twig are real good. So again, you could make a nice tincture with that, or you could do a nice tea and just drink with some good distilled water and get those into you 2 or 3 times a day, and you would benefit from that greatly. Some of the others, I've got a lot more information on hydrangea root. If you want to get a hold of me, I can go ahead and shoot that out to you in an email. Hydrangea, though, is one that you can't beat it. Hydrangea and gravel root, they dissolve and they take care of business. So I have a couple more questions here that I want to address before we go. Yeah. Gravel root, breaking down kidney stones. Does a lot of other things too. And it's actually a really pretty plant. If any of you ever came to the ranch before I moved, I had my gravel root growing in one of those big blue tubs, and it gets the most beautiful, like, purpley flowers on it in the summertime, and it's really pretty. It's a neat plant. What I thought was interesting too for kidney stones is olive oil, kidney beans, watermelon, pineapple, pomegranate juice, prunes, lemon juice, and of course water. Basil juice and stinging nettle leaves. Those are all really good things for kidney disease, kidney stones, kidney dysfunction, and of course avoid calcium. Don't take calcium orally. Your body's not, it'll take it in, but it's not going to assimilate it. Even if you don't have kidney problems, your body won't assimilate that kind of calcium. You need to get your calcium naturally, and like I said, I recommend oat straw. It's one of the best sources. Alfalfa is another one. Okay, here's another question. My husband has a horrible cough. They treat him with antibiotics and steroids, but it keeps coming back. Oncologist said maybe it's long COVID or maybe acid reflux. I want to treat them both. Well, he would know if it was acid reflux, but the best way to treat acid reflux is with apple cider vinegar and honey every morning. That'll take care of that in a matter of days. But if he's got this prolonged cough, and it's stemming from probably a respiratory thing, then I would recommend my respiratory tea or tincture, because it's made with mullein and it's made with other herbs that draw out that mucus. It would be the quickest way to get that stuff finally out of your body and cough it out, because he's just trying to work out what's left in there, and his body's probably, if he's had vaccinations or if he's had contact with other things, his body's working against itself right now and is producing a lot of mucus. So be careful. Don't eat too many eggs. Stay away from dairy. Stay away from red meat. Stay away from mucus forming foods. If you don't believe me, just Google it and find out which ones are mucus forming. For the cough, I recommend the Comfort Cough Elixir or the tincture. The tincture works real fast and it's easy to stick in your pocket or your purse. It's got good cough managing herbs in it, colt's foot and a few others. I love that stuff. I had a cough all through this season change up here because I wasn't used to this environment. It's different, and oh my gosh, that stuff is amazing. I love it. I fell in love with it all over again because it really saved me. A good place to get ginkgo, I would recommend a company like Mountain Rose Herbs. I know for a fact that they have organic product. I used to live in Oregon for a while and I actually visited them, and I would recommend Mountain Rose. She says on the workshop for homeschoolers, oh yeah, get a hold of me or have those others get a hold of me if they are interested in doing that. My distiller makes my water taste funny. Is that normal? Well, first of all, what is funny? I don't know what tasting funny, like, does it have a taste or does it not have a taste? Or does it taste like the pot? It might be that it's time for you to do a boil out and just put that citric acid or apple cider vinegar in your pot. Keep the lid off of it, turn it on and let it boil for about 30 minutes and then clean it out, wipe it out, dump it out and wipe it out good. And it could just be that you've got a buildup and you're tasting all those minerals in there. You have to clean them out every now and then. For future class ideas, I'm not sure what you meant by this, but then you said making tinctures and creams. Is that to go along with that? Is that something that you're wanting to do? If so, you guys just send me your info on that, what you wanting to know, and I will put together the classes and get the schedule out so you know. What I'll do is I'll just have you sign up for it on my website. And again, you'll get your text. You can order it off Amazon or whatever, and you'll be ready to go when the time comes, when the class opens. I have been diagnosed with 2 fairly serious blood clotting disorders, hence the blood clots in my heart. They have me on warfarin, but my blood thinness is all over the place. I am tested weekly, sometimes too thin, sometimes not. I would prefer to do it herbally, but how do I transition to what I should do, and what should I do? Okay, so cayenne pepper And you need to have an aggressive regimen of cayenne pepper. You need to, I would say start with taking some, if you're going to do capsules, take like 2 capsules 4 times a day. And then, I don't know how often you're having your blood checked, but do that until you go to your next appointment and see where you're at. If it's too thin, then you know you can back off. If it's still not thin enough, but if you're staying on the warfarin, I would add, you don't want it too thin too fast. So if you're going to stay on your medication, then start with 1 3 times a day cayenne pepper. Then when you get comfortable with that and you want to maybe go to half your blood thinner, increase your cayenne pepper to 2. Boop, boop, boop. And then include with that garlic. And if you're not a big fan of eating raw garlic, which is your best way to go, but you'd have to eat quite a bit of it, then make sure you get a real good garlic capsule, where you can see the herb in there, not a hard cap. Okay? And if you get something that's got oil in it, check it first. Open them up and taste it to make sure it's really garlic. And hawthorn, which you said you're already taking, but I would take my hawthorn in conjunction with my cayenne pepper 3 times a day. Like like you're taking your cayenne. Every time you take your cayenne, take these other 2 things. Take garlic and take hawthorn. And the garlic, those of you that know me know that garlic will lower your blood pressure. So I about put myself into a coma taking garlic for the first time I did that. But so be aware of that, and your blood pressure may go down. You may, you'll just have to adjust your garlic to what works for you. The lemon balm tea, you said I take lemon balm for my heart irregularity and I love it, but I just learned that lemon balm can put you to sleep. Well, yeah, because it will slow down and regulate your heart rate. So take your lemon balm at night. Take your hawthorn with your cayenne pepper and your garlic, and take your lemon balm at night. You should be good. Might sleep better. All right, guys, it is 8:01, and I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that this is information that can help you. I know it's a lot, but that's one reason I wanted to upload to the YouTube channel, so you can replay and you can have this stuff. Sometimes this doesn't really apply to you right now, but maybe 2 months down the road, you've developed a condition, and you can go back and take a look at this, catalog of videos and possibly find something that helps you. I'm always available if you need me, Wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com, or you can message me on Facebook anytime, and I'll be happy to help you with whatever I can help you with. And I know that an herbal approach it takes a little more time, but I promise you the benefits far outweigh the time that it takes, and you will be stronger and healthier and have longevity of life down the road if you can separate yourself from some of the toxicity that is in our world right now. So on that note, just remember that nature heals you best, and Andy and I, my dog, will see you next week. Blessings to all of you. I love you. Bye.